Hopefully we get that one. Yeah.
I want to get the minutes done immediately.
Okay. You want to get to the right department, yeah, please do that.
You could almost see what they like before that. I want this, well, the chief of the finance. He's in the farm. Actually, I actually called that class meeting group to do what we're gonna do for gifts. We are. Yeah. I feel old, I think so I called President Chat. Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, right. This will count on that medical component and one that we bought that on the other. Two Robin level, their own place. And then.
Either way. Plate the hole in it. Propane's a lot more concentrated, so it's a smaller hole. Natural gas is a bigger hole. Just all this, it's very unbelievable. It's like, the hardest thing is getting that, like. Burner. The most countries have that.
I remember I was here.
Yeah, propane.
When they get the back, I had a guy that was out there, changing myself, 250 over. And he pulled the phones off, right? And he had Woodman, we couldn't get it. I can't find it working. And so that.
Good luck.
Yeah.
No, there's two streets out there, the strap over about this big. And then natural gas right there. No, it's curious. It's part of the building's not propane, part of it's natural gas. No, it's on the same building.
Yeah, we'll take it in underneath the utility department.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Once we get there, yes. He was skipping ahead. Tends to do that. Yeah.
We get things done.
We gotta get along with.
Oh, I didn't know that. Tell us to do that. Never have one.
Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second, it.
Then it's second, all in favor?
Well, I approved it too. You can have time. Oh, okay.
9-0. All right. We get started with transfer station. I guess, my question before we start is there even a reason to do it? I know the plan is to go out to bid for this. Is that kind of a?
There's no official plan on anything ready from,
Okay,
there's nothing written down, no. There's only been general thoughts and that about it. So,
okay,
to answer your question, yes, we'll do it for now until we get to that.
all right. All right, item 001 wages, 0002 overtime. Anyone has any questions or concerns on those?
And item eight, transfer station, a union group, you're part of the public work, the same contract as the public works. And is this overtime, is there a revenue on the other side that shows, isn't this what Ireland's has to have you open the gate?
I don't believe that falls in that category. I don't know where that is reflected. There is a $50 gate fee once a week for Ireland. That should be revenue as opposed to the budget here, but the 20 hours of overtime is where I have 3 weeks vacation, another attendant has 2 weeks. We do 3 trips a week, which is 6 hours, for 5 weeks is about 30 hours. 30.
So this is to cover vacation, has nothing to do with Ireland's opening the gate on Wednesdays. So isn't that overtime though, for the person who has to come in and open the gate?
No, there's an outside gentleman that comes down, John Moore does.
He's not a town employee?
He must be a town employee, but he doesn't fall under our,
I don't even recognize, but that was a union.
yeah. And that's his sole goal, is just the 1 hour for that game.
And he gets paid for that, but you don't know where in the budget that is.
Well, I think Ireland pays the town for that.
Right, Ireland, there must be a revenue for Ireland's to pay us, but who pays the gentleman that actually does the work?
Well, he's in our payroll, so I'm sure it's coming out of transfer station, but again, Dennis doesn't have it in here. I can't intelligently answer that question.
And is the garbage gonna start going to hand then, or where are we on?
We are in a process of changes there. Again, like Mr. Schaefer said, it's not official, no contracts are signed. So it's something in the process, but not established.
The trash itself is going to the new facility.
Well, it just started,
It
yeah.
just started on Monday.
Yeah.
So yes, but nothing else has been done other than the location where it's going to be just.
So that's gonna change some of this stuff considerable, right? Cause they haul their own trash.
As of right now, we're still calling.
Yes, we're still hauling. it,
Correct.
but Eventually, they're gonna haul it, well, or is that?
Perhaps down the road, but not today or tomorrow. I'm not trying to be vague, except I don't have everything locked in yet, and I don't want to say anything that's until I know all the details. That's all.
Is the new facility like Burke? Are they burning it or are they doing what they originally were?
I don't believe it's incinerated. No, it's gonna be shredded or compacted or whatever their process is.
They have a sorter where it sorts out, so stuff's gonna go to different areas. He called, what was the word he used today when he came off? Like something you use in the digestive form.
Yeah.
Something, I forget how they did it, but it goes to different areas and what can be put in this stuff does go there, but I don't understand the whole process. But we did meet with a gentleman from this company today. He came up, met with us. We were at the transfer station for about 2 hours talking about the processes and stuff.
And I mean, again, is the tipping fee the same, cheaper?
We should be, the goal is a savings per ton. I don't remember the exact amount off the top of my head, but it was a few dollars per ton that we're gonna be saving by going to this new facility.
2 or 5 to 7.
It could be, I don't remember the exact
And
amount.
like, is that locked in for like 10 years, 5 years? Not like year to year?
I'm not sure the term of the contract.
I should be sure of it because I signed it, but I don't recall off the top
I
of
only
my
asked that
head.
because reason we didn't go with them originally was because their contract was. Like, it was gonna be like $10-15 cheaper per ton. But then basically it was whenever they want to, they will raise the price. And essentially what they were planning on doing was, which is why they failed to begin with, was they were gonna up the price like $40 a ton to make it profit to break even. So
I'd have to go back and reread it. I don't have it memorized.
And it's no longer fiber, it's a, from the superseded.
Yes, it says,
There have been changes.
waste,
Innovative,
municipal waste disposal is the name of the company,
innovative resource recovery,
is the current company, right? Yeah,
waste hub is what it's current name.
okay.
They added a new bag shredder to throw the trash to open it. Did they do any other technology change? Because the rest of the equipment doesn't work. That's why it failed.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how their plant operates or what they're.
And then the original shredder they put in isn't surrounded by concrete walls. So when you shred open a masonry bottle, one of those little propane ones, it'll go kaboom.
I don't know, I'm pretty sure
That's why-
he said that they put in 22, they just finished a $22 million something
Yeah. But they
down
didn't-
there, so I don't know what it all
It's
entailed.
not in a protective thing, and that's what the engineers were talking about, is how can that. So anyway, just don't be in there, that's all.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
There's
sound
some-
advice.
There's something real, yeah. It-
You had something?
The contract goes for 3 years.
Thank you. I did not have that memorized.
So I would request that you check to see where that revenue is coming from Ireland's rubbish, because it's not included in any of the transfer station revenues under.
Okay, so where is revenue from Ireland rubbish? So you want to know where it's being accounted for in here? Expense and revenue. For transfer station. All right.
Wages. 0010 professional development, department request $250. Make a motion for the department request. Motion made, seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? 9-0. 0012 advertising improvement, department request of $200. I make a motion for the department request of $200.
Second,
Motion made, seconded, discussion? All those in favor? 9-0. 0024 uniforms, department request $2,788.
I have a question. You have just 2 staff marked down, there's 3 guys there, should we budget for 3?
At the end of this month, there will be 2. I'm gonna become retiring at the end of this month.
Happy for you and sad for me.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. And obviously, if you look back to wages, that's gonna affect that money as well.
Make a motion for the department request of $2,788.
Second,
Motion made, seconded, any other discussion? All those in favor? 0. 0027 consumable supplies, department request of $1,950.
second,
Motion made, seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? 9-0. 0030 equipment maintenance, department request $13,200. I'll make a motion for the department request.
second,
Discussion. Yes, just real quick, like, however this works out, like, if we end up going, like, contracting or whatever, like, they're using all their equipment and we're no longer using our equipment, or how is that gonna work?
Don't know, we haven't gotten anywhere near that, or if anybody has, I've not been involved with it.
Okay,
question is, who does it?
Currently on our equipment that we have now is Colin, yes, Public Works.
So
let's get back, we've asked this question a couple of times, and that is, when we look at the highway department, we've got the hours for the whole year in there. And so when we see them stepping in and helping out, which is the right thing to do, I'm just wondering whether we're doubling up or not in the man hours necessary to do the maintenance. Because when we look at the public works budget,
Right.
they're going 2,080 hours, which is 40 hours for the whole year. And we got the overtime for snowplow. But I gotta believe that a lot of this, that we've seen this consistently through public maintenance is being done, like we saw how we got on that. More. You think this is just part of it?
So either is, if the Freightliner tractor is leased, we still have maintenance on that we have to take care of?
Yes, I believe like the oil changes and tires and what the minor.
Do we know when the lease is up? I know it was a 5-year lease.
I do not know exactly.
That might go back to back.
Right, if we start doing part two, that might be.
But we'd have to buy out the lease. If there's say there's 4 years left on the lease or 3 years left on the lease, we'd buy out the lease. So
Somewhere in the talk, I don't know all of it, but Freightliner was talking about buying the lease back. But Dennis was on that.
okay.
We don't know the whole story.
We just gotta check into it and make sure there's not a penalty for breaking the lease.
George, on
Yep.
page 69, it says it's 2022 Freightliner.
I was looking for that.
So it should be coming up this year then.
It's in the narrative, right?
I thought it was pretty close to the end, but I didn't want to.
It's at the very last line on page 69.
Ah.
Yes,
It's right here, yeah.
Changed it. Okay, I didn't make it to the. Fair enough.
What is your plan for replacing the trailers since they're in fair condition? Is there a capital plan for those trailer replacements?
I believe in the capital budget, there are money they put away for each of the trailers and there's been money put away for each of the bailers. Which is pretty much our capital.
Was that the balers? I mean, I don't can't
We
remember
have
what's in
two
there.
bailers up there for the cardboards and the plastics and things of that nature.
Because they've been in poor condition for like the last 10 years.
They're working, they're optional, they do require some maintenance, a motor we got this year was a $500 item. I believe there's still life in them. Maybe that description needs to change a little bit as from board or air or something.
Make a motion for the department request 13,200.
Oh, I thought we.
Did we? Oh, this is okay.
But I would question whether we need the 2,200 for the trade. For the tractor, if we're gonna end up giving that back.
Right, but we're not at that point yet. They're saying, let's get that out of there in case it doesn't happen or falls through.
Unless something happens before they finalize the budget, we'd have to leave it in there.
Right.
Don't you have any capital right now for replacement of any of these pieces of equipment?
But again, if you don't know what,
I just think it's an over budget that we don't need to over budget.
so you got, so do you think you're gonna use 7,800 in maintenance before the end of June?
I wouldn't believe so.
So then I'll amend,
Rather have it there than not need it. I guess it'll go to general fund at the end. But no, we've got the supplies on hand, we've got materials on hand. I don't see no large maintenance issue at this point to the end of this year.
Other than the case backhoe, that's been replaced by the John Deere, so
Yes. Wanted to make sure I had which one was which, but yes. We now have the John Deere.
we're probably at amount pretty much the same.
I think that number did decrease a little, because it is in better shape and won't need as much maintenance. Did he leave that at 28 on both? You know, the case, we had 4,000 and he reduced it to 28 for the John Deere.
As it says, case.
Yeah, we're still in discussion.
Yeah, mine is separate from the.
See, that's what I got to know.
Did I make that motion? I'll amend the motion to. Do you, the 2,800, do you think that should be cut a little bit, or do you think that's,
No, I think that's fair. I'd stay with that. I mean,
Okay.
we went from 4,000 to the 28. so-
okay, perfect. I'll make a motion, I'll amend my motion for the department request for to change that amount to. 100, so 11,000, make a motion for 11,000.
Yeah.
And to use the remaining 7,800 if needed, so.
We'll carry forward whatever's left.
All those in favor? 9-0. 2040 vehicle fuel, 13,780.
The annual mileage, 15,005, this is that to Juniper Ridge or is that to?
That was going to Juniper Ridge up to this point.
And what is that 3 trips a week?
Roughly 3 trips, yes.
So what is an additional, what?
It's, I
40
believe,
miles?
another 40 miles round trip, yes. And the price of $299, obviously, we're nowhere near that, but we may see that again.
Do you have a current expense line item for your budget right now? Because we have one to April that says you have $6,400 left in that fuel line item. Do you have that much left?
I can't speak to that. I don't know.
It's in the expense detail that we got, what we spent from July to April out of your department.
So there would be, it'd be less than that because there would have been fuel from whenever that was printed until now, if you're going down 3 days a week.
Well, another expenses. Do you know how much you spend a month in fuel?
I don't. I can get that for you tomorrow. It's on the computer in the office, but I don't have it there on hand. I think the last I looked was close to 2,000 a month.
So that would be, I think there'll be at least $2,400 left in the accounts.
And that's the money down there, every year we get.
Yeah. I'll make a motion for 11,000 for the fuel.
Yeah, I actually think we should increase the fuel charge to $30,800. We've got the mileage for the Ryder truck is going to be close to 22,000 miles rather than 15,005. Diesel fuel right now is well over $5 a gallon. It's going to stay over $5 for a while longer. I think we should budget appropriately.
Do you have a number?
30,800 for the total for all the Trent vehicle.
We have a motion on the table, which one?
Yeah. Always rather mention.
Do you make a motion?
I move that we increase the department's request to $30,800.
When we put something on that, depending on what happens again, we'll start trucking it.
How do you add that contingency? Should we make that a second?
I'm
Make
just,
that a second motion?
if they start trucking it, we stop and that.
That's a good provision. I'll go with that, but how about if we make that a second, an addition, an additional one?
Just would mention.
One second, that. Okay. Any other discussion?
So we're voting on $30,800.
All those in favor? All those opposed? 7-2.
All right, I move that if a third party takes over the transportation or the hauling of our trash, that the funds remaining in the vehicle fuel account be moved to, where do you think they ought to go, Charlie?
Yes, just all of this fuel, some of this fuel to be back from and stuff too, so you don't want to take it all.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it all, but I mean, you're absolutely right. It's not all in the truck. That's the bulk of that cost. We're using about 90 gallons a month between the backhoe and the loader.
So will you know whether that new contract is going into effect before July 1st of the new fiscal year or no?
I don't know. We're not that far yet, so I don't know how to answer that question.
And it's not a one cover all, it's phased in different portions.
Well, I would think that you would move that extra money if it is approved by the town council into a reserve account for future, equipment repair or equipment purchase. So you're not. There's
The negotiated contract, they'll look at the cost of fuel and transportation. I also find that what they will get now, find out if it's feasible. If it is feasible, then there should be some savings, and when that comes back to a reserve account.
Yeah,
Future
future
expenses.
expenses of the transfer of equipment.
Right.
Most likely not the only fuel cost in the transportation. Something like that.
Yep. Okay.
But when you do your calculation, you got three components, transportation, fuel, and technical.
So what's the default arrangement if
You totally take away because of about getting backhoe. Just make a motion that they revisit it or something. If we stop hauling on the trash.
I think if you make a motion that says that whatever is left in this account at the end of the year that doesn't get dumped into UBF, it gets put into a reserve account for equipment purchase in the future. So then you have the money to spend for fuel that you need, but then whatever's left can go into equipment reserve account.
you'd like?
Hey, go ahead.
Well, she said it well. I was
Yeah.
gonna pass the baton.
You want to make that as motion, then I'll second it. All those in favor? 0046 license fees, department request $450. I make a motion for the department request. Discussion. All those in favor? 9-0. 0050 building and grounds maintenance, department request $6,500. I'll make a motion for the department request. Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion.
This particular, there's the increase there. We have two doors, single man doors, one's on the warehouse and one's on the office that are in really bad shape. The office door, I've actually rattled in the framework. We've already got, told to get that repaired. Just a matter of getting a order in.
So you have 3,600 left in this year's budget. Can you do one of them this year and then budget is next year? Or what have you planned plans for this one?
If that money is there, sure. I mean, I don't. I don't foresee anything else in the next month or so. So I can get one door this,
I would
out of this money.
Get one door done now, maybe.
I'll check with the contractor as long as it doesn't change the fee, breaking the job.
Oh, you're gonna have the same contract to do both
You're doing
doors.
good, yes.
Well, you could say, well, do one in June, one in July, and take money out of one, and one out of.
I agree. I will certainly visit that.
June 30th and July 1st.
We could change the motion to change this to 3,000, then use the 3,600 that they haven't spent for this year.
Yeah, I think it could be lower, because if you've got that much left in this year, you
Mhm.
get at least one door done.
I have no problem with
George, do you want to run that?
Yeah, I'll amend that to drop it, what, 3,000? So, I'll amend my motion to Department, for 3,500.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Very low for 26.
Yeah, carry that over. All those in favor? 0058 recycling operations, Department request, $6,000. Make a motion for the department request.
Second it.
Discussion? All those in favor? 0060 safety compliance, Department $885. Make a motion for the department request.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? 9-0. 0074 transportation department request 25,655. I'll make a motion for the department request.
Second it.
Discussion. I imagine that could go away if things change,
Just
so
right now, yes,
That's a great one.
yes.
all those in favor? 9-0.
Down in the line item narrative, first item is, we entered into a 6-year lease on a 2022 freight line.
We'll have 2 years left.
0096 drug and alcohol testing department request $460. I'll make a motion for the department request. All those in favor? 0. And 0106 per tipping fees department request 345,800. Is that number accurate, or is that gonna be different now with the new contract?
My understanding is that with PERC, the tipping fees were up to like $95 or $96. This is 91, so I'm assuming he must have put that into budget based on what the new fee is with the.
So the new fee is $91.
That's my guess, because I'm pretty sure I heard it was like 95 or 96 before, so.
Yeah, it says proposed to shift our business association here to
Yeah, it
Uni
says-
Waste Solution.
You know how many tons we've taken so far this year?
I think we're around 285,000. Pretty close to 28-30,000 a month
30,000 a month,
on average, 28 to 30,000.
and we've got 1.5 months left, with another 45,000 tons.
So yeah, so we're, as of the April 22nd, we were at 251,000.
There's 117,000 left in that account as of April, so that's May and June, 2 months. And you're spending 28 to 30, so that seems a bit high, but you have some left over.
Do you mean 2,850 tons? I mean, I'm looking at the tipping fee proposed, and it's 3,800 tons. And you see something?
Now, the truck average is probably 25 tons a load, 14 loads a month. 13 to 14 loads a month. I was thinking back to the monthly report, I thought we were around the 285,000 mark.
And you said 28, 30,000 every month. that you pay.
Yes, I believe that's, I had the monthly report, which I don't. I think that's pretty much more of that.
You said 25, is it, would you say 25 tons per load?
Yes,
25 tons per load, 14 loads a month?
I want to say we're anywhere between 288 and 325 a month. Sometimes it's 12 loads, sometimes it's 14 loads.
So that comes up to 350 ton a month.
Mm.
So that's 3,500 tons, not. You'd say 285,000 tons.
Well, I thought we were
I think you meant the
the year
cost.
to the
The
point.
cost, okay, yeah, I was asking for ton.
So 14 loads, that come up to 4,200, so I imagine it's probably in that ballpark of
Mhm.
38 to 4,200 or.
Monthly report.
It just, I mean, just seems that we, unless the tonnage is way off, like lower this year, or this fiscal year, should have been higher if we're paying 95 instead of 91. So at 91, we're at 345, and just seems like it'd be a little bit higher, but
Well, the sheets I had from 26, we were at 368,600. This year, we're at 345,800. So there was a significant increase.
Not unless we're falling behind. We spent 251,000. We take the 350 ton a month times another month and a half at $95 a ton, that's another 50,000.
well, that would be 91 a ton. So it'd be the one up now, because they've already started about right.
And 95 or 96, which is what we're paying now, so.
That's what I believe.
First 50,000. We spent 251, so if you add those two numbers together, we're a little over 300,000.
Right.
And we've got a budget 368 for this year. 26, that's what.
Right. Yeah, I think there's gonna be some money left over in the account.
So
I'll pull the monthly tomorrow. And you get a solid numbers.
I'll make a motion for the department request 345,800. And whatever is left over at the end of the fiscal year should be used to offset this amount.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? 9-0.
I think it's important that we know what our costs are, because we're gonna go into negotiations. If you don't know what you're spending, you're not gonna know what you're gonna deal with.
Right, exactly.
So it's very important that you get those numbers right.
Yes, sir. Will do.
0231 tire removal disposal department request $1,900. Make a motion for the department request. Discussion?
So, Ivan, I thought we did the passenger tires by putting them in the hopper. We don't need to spend the $950 on passenger tires, do we?
No, and again, we're dealing with a gentleman who built this budget, I'm just trying to justify it. But yes, we do charge a fee and they do go into the harbor. That is gonna change the run with this new. company.
They're not gonna be able. No tires.
Correct. No tires.
Okay, well, maybe that's why he put it in the budget.
Mhm.
So what happens in time? Hopefully, they're gonna come up and get them.
We'll have another company, BDS.
Yeah.
We'll have to come up and pick them up at a fee.
So again, that's gonna be high in your analysis.
Correct.
Yeah, because currently they're being put in the hopper and it's part of the $95 that we're being charged. And if we get another fee on top of the 91, it might not be such a big deal.
But what I'm really concerned about, is these guys were in bankruptcy, because they couldn't get what. And all they did is add a short in front, so I don't see how it's gonna work again. And what I heard, it needed a lot of hand sorting to make it work, unless we put robots. I'm just skeptical about they didn't add any equipment.
No, I understand, they do have breakers there and conveyor belts and all that, so
Oh, yeah,
they
but
do
they
are
have
right
all
on
that.
target.
Yeah.
But I can't speak to their operation or how they choose to do it.
Yeah.
Well,
It is
But
an
I
upgrade to
understand what you're saying.
technology. I don't see how they're not gonna end up in the same spot.
how come we don't just sign a 1-year contract instead of a 3-year or whatever? Or
Probably
you
at
said
this
we already,
point, or, right, that's what I say, probably at this point, it'd be a little too late to do that, since that was what I was already negotiated before I got.
You got a draft copy of the contract.
I have one, I can go get one, I don't have it like here,
No, we don't need it now. I think what we need to do is.
it was
look
at the
that
council.
contract And see what type of relief they have. If, like Ted said, if they go under, what kind of relief or responsibility sheds back on us.
Okay,
And so you may need to have Andy Hamilton review that.
okay, well, I can do that.
But that's why the last time all those towns signed with them and then had to send it to the landfills, and it cost the towns a lot of money.
They totally bypassed the plan to take it directly to Juniper Ridge, not being burned. My real concern, I'm the guy who found Juniper Ridge, spent 2 years of my life. It was a landfill just for sludge, for mill. And I found the land, it was 1,000 acres. The next possible place, once that gets filled up, is up here in Carpenter Ridge. It's north of Howland, because I looked at everything from here over. The faster you fill up the Juniper Ridge, the worse it's gonna get up here. And it's gonna be bad for people in Bangor, it's gonna truck it all the way to Carpenter Ridge, which, exit, don't get into the interstate. So I've been pleading that in the state law, it actually says you gotta use the landfill to not put anything into the maximum extent practical, which means burning. DEP had this concept of going this massive recycling, which was what they hoped the technology would work. It didn't work, and anybody told them it wasn't work when they went to all sites, but they still did it. There's a conflict between two parts of DEP and the solid waste. One wants to burn, one doesn't. The one who doesn't want to burn, it's all about dioxins. When they put the mills through all the dioxins, and mills produce 10% of all the dioxins, they said they're gonna pass laws later on to get the majority, 80% of dioxins created by burning the plastic, which is all medical plastics. And by the way, just burning wood creates dioxins, so never put your ashes into your garden. But that legislation never happened. So PERC is allowed to put dioxin into the land, into the air, and that's what the real conflict is that nobody wants to talk about. And so that's why DEP wants to kill it, because they can't get the legislature to create a law about that. So that tells you the real cut change what's going on here. So that's why DEP really has done everything bent backwards, bent their own rules to allow recycling, which produces twice as much load to the landfill than burning, because they don't want a certain part of it. So that's what this internal battle is. That's why you get these weird mixed signals from DEP. So anyway, I know this from so many different angles. But anyway, that's what's really happening. So everybody really understands what's going on. And the MRC, they're the ones who used to watch PERC, and then they separated from PERC. They created their own plant, basically. And so anyway, we want to get any deeper than this, you get long discussions. That's it. But anyway, you should all know about what's going on there with the burn. I think we need to save it. And just to put the final in it, the new education and college levels want to throw everything in the landfill, because they think in the future we're going to dig it up and recycle everything in the landfill, which is, I don't believe in that's going to happen at all. But that's what the new professors that you. That's all. Thank you. No.
So I'm make a motion with or I think I already did. Yeah, the motion is second. Any other discussion on fire removal disposal? All those in favor?
So one little more caveat with regards to the tire, so we are going to look at the revenue side too. If we have to process these passenger tires, we should look at charging the residents who have to dispose of the tires.
Correct.
And 0132 ash removal, department request $7,360. I'll make a motion for department request. Discussion? Do you have something?
You're on the ash testing?
What's that?
You're on ash?
Yeah, the ash testing and ash removal.
What kind of testing? Is that PCLP, which is all heavy metals?
Yes, yes.
Boy, that's really low. Get it that low.
Yeah, we just had it done, I think, 2 weeks ago, and then it was like 14.
Usually I see $1,500. That's why per test. Okay, you're getting it that low. Okay.
Northeast Labrador.
No, that's good then. Northeast, okay. Good price.
We're running under budget. It was corrected that. It's
Yeah, he just said he got a bill for it.
Right, all those in favor? 0. 0134 free on removal, $3,400 department request. I make a motion for the department request.
I understood at one point, for the budget, you probably remember this, that they were actually getting money for, you know, the guy picking up the Freon and paying us for it. This was.
No, we get charged $7, or he's got $8.50 a unit, it was $7.50 a unit, for the evacuation of the Freon.
They're changing the Freon type again. So all the old stuff's going out.
So again, I ask, where is the revenue located for that freon removal? There's nothing in the revenue that shows reflecting anything for refrigerators or air conditioners.
Yeah, they charge like $15 for a refrigerator, right?
But I think you mean because the residents get charged when they pick it up, is that what you're asking?
Right, but we collect it as a town, and
Yeah.
we should be showing it as a revenue.
Right.
in the budget.
Sure, because I know when I had my business, we always had, until we had a technician to do it, we always had to pay that fee.
So where is that revenue?
So the
Mr. Bowen did not put that in there apparently. I understand exactly what you're saying, and I agree. We do make profit per unit when it comes in, and it's far less to pay to have it evacuated, but you're still looking for margin revenue.
Looking for where that revenue is.
And also with regard to revenue. Seems like any small town of Lipton that's had a transfer station. Other than where you can market their residents, already getting one for every guy they drop off. Whether it's, you know, by bag or by, it's not on the fact that. Why don't we do that here?
We tried with Sharon and Sibley. Was on the council. We worked on together we came up with Page Grow, we had 95% buy-in, recycling. We could have done curbside pickup for recycling and trash for the town. And everybody, like most people probably pay $30-40 a year for stickers for their bag or bags. Stickers or e-bags. And it would have dropped everyone's taxes by like $80, but a lot of people looked at it as another tax, even though their taxes would be dropping and they'd be getting another service added on. They didn't want to buy bags.
You know, like how many track bags?
Some
Like
people
hundreds
come
of
up with-
thousands of track bags?
Some people come up with a bag or two out of their car, and some people come up with a trailer, who maybe kept their trash for a month or two. There's no way of counting their bag.
I think we gotta look into this. This is like
I'm all.
potential moneymaker.
The problem is, small town, you're gonna find every back road growing with bag trash. People rather spend the $5 on cigarettes than buying trash.
Right, but if we really want to get the budget down, I mean, here's an
You know,
opportunity to
we
make
have
hundreds of
everybody's
thousands of dollars. You know, we want fire trucks, put money away for fire trucks, or we want to keep an SRO officer, or, we don't want to cut the library as much. Here's our opportunity right here.
No, we're gonna have trash in everybody's land. And then who's responsible for that?
You know, that,
Would it be the town?
that's an
responsible?
enforcement issue, that can be
Well, is it
mitigated.
criminal? Oh, it is, it's political.
right, but if if people are dumping their trash, the police should go chase them and go after them. But another point is, you mentioned the different types of people that come to the dump and dump off their trash. And I kind of see them in two categories. It's people that show up with a pickup truck or a trailer and they're dumping 15, 20 bags into that thing. And then there's my, stepmother-in-law who's living by herself and she has like half a bag a week. And so, when it comes out of the budget like this, everybody's essentially paying the same, whether you're a contractor or a retired old person. I think it would be fairer if everybody paid kind of, based on how much they use the transfer station, per bag. If you're a contractor, yeah, you should pay a lot more. And if you're my stepmother-in-law, you should essentially be paying a lot less.
There was a. And. Go, there was a thing on the table to basically charge all the contractors to drop off trash. And it was, they had to change one word in the ordinance, whatever they were trying to pass to make it, go through, and they decided they didn't want to charge contractors.
Yeah. So I'm definitely not in favor of the trash pickup and all the recycling thing. I think it's a simple program like how about a sticker on the town. Charge them about the sticker or something to get slapped on your bag. I think that'd be a huge money.
I'd like to leverage his idea. First, compliments the transfer station for really good on that. You're always pleasant to deal with. The place I suggest that the budget committee recommend to town council that the transfer station collect a fee of $300 per truck from, and that's per load dumped at the transfer station from firms that pick up garbage from Lincoln's retailers, hospitality businesses, institutions, and other non-residential addresses. The reason for that is probably about 40% of that trash can be traced to a town business. So people from Chester, Wynn, Lowell, Burlington go to Walmart to buy stuff. The packaging waste winds up in the dumpsters. We wind up paying for that. Lincoln taxpayers wind up paying for that. So if we charge $300 for dump load through the commercial trash haulers, we will get most of that back. And when you multiply $300 per load for a whole year, the amount comes to about 1 to 1.5% of the municipal net to collect. So it's a significant benefit to the town.
Make motion. Did you already make a motion? Did you make a motion?
I did not make a motion, but
Well, I just want, they don't get, they need a dump sticker, their dump stickers don't cost.
Every resident gets a dump sticker.
No, but the commercial haulers, their dump stickers.
No, they get the same dump sticker that the residents.
Everybody else, okay. So that's true, we're not getting upcharging.
No, there definitely should be an adjustment. Yeah.
Just confirming.
So we already have one motion on the floor for the actual 3,400 freon removal.
Oh, we didn't,
You're doing this.
I'm sorry, I jumped the line.
all those in favor for removal? I'll second that.
I move that the budget committee recommend to town council that commercial trash haulers be charged $300 per load for garbage dumped at the transfer station.
Second that.
Well, okay,
Discussion.
yeah, discussion. Is it easier to do it just per truck than per load from a manpower standpoint?
It may be that you want some definitive discussion on you have larger companies that bring in a bulk of refuge.
Yes.
And then you have smaller companies that may bring in a 1-ton dump trailer of siding, or we have some people that do home cleanouts and bring in sofas or whatever, and then we charge per item in that regard. So it depends on how we're gonna differentiate contractors and the size of their vehicles.
I guess for clarity, I'm just talking about commercial trash
Mhm.
haulers.
Okay, commercial trash
And,
hauls,
and-
okay.
and those are the guys that pick up at Walmart, Hannaford, at the restaurants, the school, so on, so.
I agree.
And it doesn't matter which way to you, whether it's per load or per sticker.
It's pretty easy to count.
I would probably go per load. Cause I don't know how many vehicles they have as far as that they bring up to the transfer station, but we do keep track of the loads pretty easy.
It's just a labor thing, because you know, they're in the recycling building quite a bit. Okay. So
Yeah,
you
we
don't
do it
care.
per load, you're kind of trying to even out what they're dumping in tonnage and what we're paying for tonnage, so.
The other possibility is you have them run over the, tree line scale. Scale it. Tree line would mark it down, send us a, waste the monthly or some of the frequency and then we'll be charging by the time, but I would have to refigure what the.
Or you don't let them dump it all and make them all at the. Inputs.
And I had done some calculations to how much tonnage they drop in a year's time and over how many trucks, that's how it can $200.
I think you see a third difference from what we hold down current. If we take those contractors out, you're gonna lose that tonnage, a third of that tonnage. The tipping fees will decrease by a third.
So one way, we benefit different ways.
It's a win, yes, it's a win-win.
We collect some revenue and or some hauls.
Cause when the mill shut down, they were sending a lot of tonnage to the transfer station every week. Tonnage didn't drop after the mill shut down, the tonnage went up, so. No one was able to explain that.
Tonnage went up.
Commercial haulers, it's because commercial haulers.
Oh, okay.
You have no way of knowing if they're collecting just a LinkedIn.
Yeah, just like you say.
You've seen it done two different ways with contractors, is the way you have a scale at your dump, right? And then I've seen people come in and then like the dump attendant will just inspect their trailer. Look at how much they have on it, because they could have, not so much on the trailer, or they could have a lot of stuff on the trailer. And they'll charge them accordingly just by a visual inspection. But again, that's a separate category. My proposal is just the commercial craft home. But just the sticker? No, per load, $300 per load.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to point out it can vary quite a bit per load.
But I think if you define it as per load, you're alleviating a situation where someone's gonna come in with 3/4 of a trailer one week and 2/3 of a trailer the next week and argue it's the same thing, and it's not. So like what the attendance and stuff in that predicament, here's your flat fee per load. If you choose to bring up half a load, that's on you. This is the fee. You want your money's worth.
I don't know that commercial haulers typically use a distinctive vehicle. We call them
Packers, yes.
and that's a distinctive vehicle.
Yeah.
That's a dedicated, what we think of as crash truck. Where. And that's what I have in mind for this bill. So what percentage of trash bag, you think it's like a third of the trash bags in trash that is all the way with people keep these on just from contractors?
I think it's
Commercial.
safe,
Commercial.
yes.
Commercial trash haul. No, it's about, I think it's close to 40%.
Well, it was very good, we kept record of it for over a year at one point. And then, for lack of a better way, the interest dwindled on it. And, I think several people we talked to about that, and for whatever reason it didn't transpire. But I think that there was significant savings there for the bank.
I think that's a good first step, to make one hundred kind go down for the transfer station. I still would like to hear how many crap bags go through there a year. So you would better inform us on whether we should consider doing something for citizen or for bag.
I'll just add to your previous comment. I remember what, 10 or so years ago, there was a meeting of people who were, you know, thinking of ways to reduce the cost of the transfer station taxpayer. We had a very enlightening discussion of charging per bag one way or another. And the better argument was made by people who said, well, if you start charging per bag, there's going to be a lot of trash that winds up on the logging roads and beside the road, and just as litter. And you're going to spend more picking up that trash and investigating who dropped it than you gain by that process. And that won me over. And I was,
Yeah.
your frame of mind.
No, I hear your concern. It's just, I know this works in other towns, right? They don't have these huge litter problems. I don't know if they've, addressed it with their police or whatever, but.
In the school system here, you get free lunch if you're low poverty. There are so many people on that program that they don't charge anybody. That shows you how poor of a community we have. That's why you can't. They will not give up their siblings for that trash bag. Guaranteed you. Because who typically smokes is the poor people. And that tells me all. Because I know a lot of people in school, nobody gets charged. Because it's not worth the effort for the minute percentage that's not considered in that federal poverty.
Okay.
That's why I say it doesn't work in poor neighborhoods. What's that?
I think you'll see a lot more roads getting developed.
Why don't we do something different? Why don't we encourage people to recycle and by putting their name in a basket and they'll get something every month to recycle?
Because of
A lot of people who have more bags are the ones who don't recycle.
recycling is a myth. It doesn't really happen. Going through this whole thing, I've been numerous times hurt where a Casella truck comes in and they shred it all and burn the whole truck. If you don't have a recycling plant within 500 miles, EPA tells you just the trucking pollution alone is not worth it, nor is it the trucking cost. The problem is you need somebody who wants it. If not, it's still trash. Right now, we used to have Old Town that was recycling the cardboard. That was the first time we got recycling, and they were sending it back to China. Now, all the metal has been recycled forever. Now you have the other one. Plastic is recycled, but I don't even know where they do that. They have a problem with plastic, with glass. And pretty much glass. Yeah, glass is the only thing left, right? And cardboard and paper fall into that same problem that nobody wants it because, again, it's 500 miles. If you could invent something here that they're like, for example, you take trash, break it up, and use the asphalt and stuff to take it, and then you can become the person who takes it, pays other people, and make your own little business. But you got to find a niche for it. That's the problem. As you go down through the recycling stuff, they all give you the numbers of all the stuff you guys collected, and that's a percentage. But when it goes deeper in the system, it gets thrown. I've seen numerous studies on it. It is a very sad. It's all an illusion. Yep. In fact, the one mix thing, the one sort stuff, I've seen that going to perk and dump straight into the trash to burn all the time for years. That single sort, single sort is total burn. Yeah, there is no sort. It's an all illusion.
Yep. We're sorting plastic from mixed plastic to number 2 plastic.
That's like $1,000 a ton.
Well, then we're sorting that even further to colored plastic and opaque plastic.
Yeah,
So
it depends if somebody wants it. So depending on that stuff, I heard its value, but I don't know where it's like who actually uses it.
it takes so long. Cardboard is our big thing. We get a bale a day.
Oh yeah,
of
and that's the
cardboard.
problem.
It's shipping it every 2 months. Plastic,
Nobody
it's
wants it.
been years before we get a load of plastic. It takes so long.
If you could come here and open something, but you gotta have some use, something to do with the paper.
What do you get per ton for cardboard? Is it $1 or something? I know you pretty low.
Yeah, yes, it's, yes, I mean, if you think of the.
But we're
manpower-
saving $91 a ton.
Yes,
By not
you're
putting it in.
saving it, that's,
Whatever they do with it after the fact, where
right, right.
we recycle, we're saving $91 a ton.
And that goes to that MRRA association we use. And it goes to Quebec, it goes to St. Stephen, it goes to what they do at that point. I'm not 100% sure.
And I think an encouragement to recycle, whether it actually ends up with. Different story, but encourage recycling, put less in the hopper, would be well worth that.
Well, the bucket bag usually kind of encourages that, right? So you have to pay for that bag now, right? You kind of want to get all that recyclable stuff out there, so you know, you have fewer bags that you have to
It
pay
happened
for.
outside trash, 55-gallon drums, people burning. You don't understand how people will not, they hate to take trash, they will burn it in the backyard. In the 70s, everybody had a backyard.
What do surrounding communities do? Like, is Powell in charge about the bag? They don't have a litter problem, do they? But you had to pay $10 for 7 stickers.
I think Enfield charges the bag, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Helen was, I don't know if they still are.
I'm pretty sure Howland does.
I don't know what.
I just wonder if it can work in these other communities, and it should work in our community.
Force reduction, the way to go, that actually works. Recycling, it's been a while since we did studies on it. In my professional career, we did a lot of studies on recycling. And as Chad said, in many cases, it was a myth. We had, where we lived previously, we had to sort our trash, glass, metal containers, plastic, and something else, and then garbage. And you went down to the local, and this was a suburb, you went down to the collection point. And they were dumping all the glass and the plastic together. After it, and they made us sort it, we had separate containers.
So,
They just mixed it all together. The point is that as Teddy said, it's a myth. It does, in many cases, it does. No, it's a burden on you, and it doesn't.
You gotta have somebody who wants it, it's not still trash, still waste.
And how we live.
it's somebody. It's not going in hopper.
You got somebody that's good. But it's from environmental, you're more than 500 miles, you're hurting this time. But you know, sometimes people don't care, but it makes you feel good.
Where's the last one?
Glass. We're just stockpiling glass, there's no resource for it. If you drive around the recycle building on the back side, you will see. I couldn't tell you how many times there's a truckload. And it's been years to accumulate that. Glass looks like it's built up big, but once it gets crushed down.
Were they recycling that into asphalt?
Once upon a time, but I don't think Dennis could find anyone to do that for you. I think Medway was interested in it at one point, but it just needed help.
The hell here in Maine, you've got so much sand, like. And aggregate,
Mhm.
you just dig it up, last thing.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the table. Anything else? All in favor? Zero. All right. We will move to TIF budget presentation.
Yes, sir. I will need the rest of the information.
Wait, actually, hold on. Do you have anything in capital?
There is capital on the 2 trailers and I believe the 2 balers.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Well, again, if this moves forward, trailers will be a non-issue. Plenty of money.
Page 97, 0512 transfer station trailer, department request $4,000. I make a motion for the department request for $4,000.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? And 0515 transfer station baler, department request $4,000. I make a motion for the department request.
Which one is that?
Page 97.
No, but the baler. Is it cardboard or-
There's 2 balers in there.
So it's the big trash baler?
I think they have, is there a line item for both?
No,
I think we just, there's always just been Baylor, and then we're just,
Yeah.
I think it was the one by the door, I think was the one that was gonna be.
That's the
replaced first.
cardboard.
Baylor.
Original walls.
okay, so this is the cardboard. That's why I just trying, it's fine, okay.
All those in favor? 9-0. Thank you.
I do want to second what Dave said. I've been probably never transfer station in the state of Maine and we went to that. Local does an excellent job in managing that.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank
For
you.
your time. I will do my best.
We'll put out an APB on.
That was a problem last year, so the budget. I don't think I got all the words. This is a summary sheet.
Thank you.
You all did get the TIF budget?
Yes.
Okay. I gave them to David to distribute amongst you, the TIF budget. Was Matt here when you did that?
I believe you was, yeah.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, because last year, if you remember correctly, the TIF budget was supposed to come about the same time as the budget, so you could look at it and, it was done, but it never got delivered to you till the last minute, so. I took advantage of David when he was in the office volunteer.
At the end,
Yes, I do that so often.
I've used it.
Now, I have a presentation here that basically explains TIF. I usually hand it out every year. Nothing has changed from last year, but I will ask you to pass it around. So you all have a copy. And we can either do, we can either go through it or you can peruse it on your own. And I can just give you a quick overview of how the TIF budget is formulated and what's involved with it. It's up to you. We can go through this if you'd like. That's what I'm asking. If you'd like, this pretty much, for those of you who are unfamiliar with tax increment financing, this is a PowerPoint presentation that explains it just about as briefly as it possibly could be explained. So I leave it up to the budget committee. What would you prefer?
I'm happy to just start going through the budget, but
I think that's good. We can read this on our own if you want.
Okay, so like I like to point out, the TIF budget is, it is an economic development tool that was established by the legislature. And what it does is that the towns are allowed to capture certain investment projects that come into town. So how that works is that value is actually taken out of your total municipal valuation. And when you figure that total municipal valuation and you come up with a mill rate, then you go back to that budget and what the value is, you multiply it by that mill rate. So what this is right here is not the final budget. It won't be final until that mill rate is set and you multiply it by the projects we have and their valuation. It is very different than a municipal budget because it's not something you can go through the expenses, say we want to do this, and then divide that budget into that value and make your own mill rate. You have to go by the mill rate that's established by what you're doing here with the municipal budget. So what happens is at the end of the year, when commitment happens and the mill rate is set, then we go to the different projects that are TIF projects and we multiply those by the mill rate and that becomes the budget. Now, if in this, I call it the wish list. This is what we'd like to finance. This is what we're projecting for different departments to use. But if that mill rate comes lower than what is estimated here, then the departments will be looked at and they will be cut because you can't spend more than you produce. That's the bottom line. You cannot spend what you don't produce. So when we go through this budget once commitment's done, if that mill rate comes out lower, then we have to go back through these budgets and cut different departments until we meet that set amount that is the actual budget. So, this is the wish list. It's subject to change once the mill rate is set. And if the mill rate does come out higher, then there is no issue, because then you're actually bringing in more income than you've estimated. Usually what happens in that case, the budget does not change. Things are not added to it. That goes into a reserve account. And that reserve account is used for projects later that are budgeted for, because nothing can be spent out of this TIF budget without prior approval from the town council. So this goes to the town council for approval as the wish list. Keep in mind that the wish list will not be increased, but if that mill rate comes down, it will be decreased to equal what you have to spend. So I'm open for any questions. If I've confused you totally, I apologize, but
So everything the TIF can't reduce the TIF, the mill rate.
there are certain items that are in, when you develop a TIF tax increment contract, you have a development plan, and it has a series of items that you can spend this money on. And there are things in the municipal budget that you can spend the TIF dollars toward. However, several years ago, I'm thinking it was probably 7-8 years ago, the town council felt that by putting things from day-to-day operations in the TIF budget was hiding what the actual expense was for each of those departments. And that they wanted it more to go to things that would not be funded by the municipal budget for economic development purposes. For instance, the rec department budget that you see here pretty much covers the public beach. It covers things of that nature, and the maintenance and the lifeguards and things like that to keep the public beach open. Okay, and when you look at events, those are the different events that we have to bring people into town. Economic development pretty much revolves around my salary, Vicky Rushfeld's salary, Steve Levesque's salary, and economic development activities that we have going on that aren't covered by the grants. For instance, we have an engineer for the town of Lincoln, Haley Ward, and a lot of times, like for instance, right now they're working on bid specs for capital projects we have going on. That is what we pay for out of the economic development fund.
So like the addition, this new addition to, well, like the new date, right? That'll be in the regular assessed, gets onto our mill rate. But
That
it
is correct.
appears now that I didn't realize, but all of Lincoln, the future, the old mill is all gonna be future TIF. So any development there will not be reduce our mill rate. It's all that money stays in TIF, right?
It stays in TIF, but at that point in time, the plan is then we would go back and look, because that would be an ongoing thing for 30-40 years. So at that time, then you would use it for a percentage of a fire truck. You would use it for a percentage of a plow truck.
So that's all what's allowed by law. That's state.
That's all that's
Yeah,
in the development.
But you can't
plans, yes.
untip a property once it's been tipped, right?
No, once you have the contract, you have to wait for it to expire. Unless you have a situation like a company goes bankrupt.
Yeah, and that.
Yeah,
is that
and then
contract.
you're not getting any revenue anyway.
You also get a salary when you're told she gets a percentage of the grants. That's how she gets.
She gets a salary, she's under contract, and she has a contract with the town of Lincoln to help all departments with grants. That contract is $3,000. That was in place prior to her joining the economic development team. Anything over that $3,000 contract comes out of grants. So her salary is the $3,000 a month, town contracted to help other departments with grants, like fire department, like the police department, etc. The stuff that she gets paid for grants has to be related to the grants for the brownfield grants and HUD grants and the EDA grants. All of those cover her salary. And they cover a good portion of Steve's salary as well.
Steve still was like 36.
I think this is closer to more like between 5,000 and 6,000. Yeah. Sometimes it will be more, sometimes it will be less. It will be depending upon what type of thing we're working on at the time. He tries to keep it 20 hours a week. I mean, yeah, 20 hours a week.
So would you be under contractual services? Is that where yours is, or is it in a different spot, or?
We are under 0.08.
Okay.
Yeah. That includes Haley Ward, Dickey Rushbelt, legal expenses from me. Well, I would say he body, that was the full part, but our attorneys, when we do leases, mortgages, contracts, that sort of thing, and Vicky, Steve, myself, yeah. That's under that.
So you're just salary, you don't have no benefits or anything? Is that,
No, my benefits are taken out of the tip too.
okay,
Every part of my salary is taken out of the tip.
I just, like I said, I was just curious, because the contractual services usually mean people that are under a contract, like a,
I don't have a contract.
okay.
No, I don't. I have an hourly rate and benefits. I'm considered a town employee that is paid through tip because I serve, technically my boss is Steve Levesque. I'm answerable to Wade, but I'm also answerable to Steve. Technically, I've got several bosses.
So the, like the insurance for you. That covers the whole package, do they pull that out?
They pull it out at the end of the year.
in
Yep, they pull it out at the end of the year.
So pretty much all of these numbers, like for instance, the first line item is Moon Festival events 0080. And you look at the detail that you have in that sheet. Those are set based on what historically you've spent on those items.
That is correct. If you come in last year, we came in with a mill rate that was under what I estimated. And so that was the first department I cut, and I told Sean that he would have to deal with what he had. And Sean did very well and raised $18,000 in donations to help fund Moon Festival. So he made the difference up. Which if the mill rate comes in less this year, I'll expect him to do the same thing.
So that additional revenue gets put into the TIF, or how does that revenue get accounted for?
That revenue, I get a printout, and that revenue goes back into tips, so the expenditures balance out. You know, you'll see by monthly report that I report monthly on the percentage of expenditures from each department, and I make a note at the bottom of it that the revenues are not reflected in that percentage, but I keep track of that revenue because at the end of the year, the treasurer makes the adjustment where they make those accounts whole by putting that revenue in those accounts.
The expenses for fiscal year 26 and 25. Do we have anything at this point?
I keep a running track sheet all the time of TIP and what we spent per department. And I have all the history on those. Anytime anybody wants them, I can email them to you at any given moment.
No, I don't.
It's not a part of that report. I keep a separate accounting for it because even though it's entered into Trio, there are a lot of account numbers that are similar. For instance, grounds and maintenance. Grounds and maintenance can come under rec. It can come under I might not have used it with it. Yeah. payroll, for instance, payroll always uses the same account. So it's like I have to be sure that I put the appropriate amount at the appropriate department. In other words, if it's summertime rec wages, it should go against the rec account. If it's Sean's salary, it should go against communication. That is not divided out in the TIP budget on Trio. You have to track it separately. So I track that separately, so I know exactly what each department is spending and where they are in their TIP budget at any given time. And these spreadsheets that I keep to track the expenditures goes to the auditor for accountability.
Problem we have is when we look at last year versus this year, a lot of them, like, for example, 0015, they're identical, so we don't know whether dodgeball, but they, I know it's a stupid.
Okay,
example.
so I send out the budget. We're supposed to have a TIP committee that helps me formulate this budget. And the TIP committee members are supposed to be appointed in January. I have appointed this out maybe for the last 3 or 4 years. And prior to that, I was just sending the budget out to the people who were initially appointed.
Mhm.
So it has fallen to me to prepare this TIP budget because they haven't kept the appointments up with the TIP committee. So what I do is I send out to the departments involved, being the rec department and being the communications and events department. And if they don't respond, it's the same budget as the last year.
So do we need to put this on the agenda for the council to appoint a TIP committee?
It's supposed to be done every January. Yes.
We should probably make a note. Encourage the council to make that happen. You shouldn't be doing that.
I would be very grateful if you would put that recommendation in because I have tried to get that to happen for the last 3 years and it has not. And quite frankly, one person shouldn't be formulating a total budget.
Especially if it's
It's always good to have multiple eyes look at something.
Are we gonna start from the beginning or should we just?
So we
Yeah.
don't typically vote on TIP, so.
Under the miscellaneous economic development line, you've got contracts and grants. What is that used for? Exactly.
what page you
I don't know, they're not numbered, so it's under communications.
lower right.
What is that?
Under communication, miscellaneous economic development would be an occasion for like, if, for instance, we have a conservation grant that needs a public hearing. They need to advertise in the paper and, or that, we have a lot of different miscellaneous grants that require public hearings and might require some legal, legal paperwork and stuff. So that covers that. That's kind of, if this happens, we should have some money available to use. For instance, we got a $50,000 engineering grant for stormwater through the community resilience this year. I just finished and filed an ATV trail grant application for $45,000. Prior to that, there were plans for me to do a conservation grant for land acquisition. That ended up not happening because of my workload at the time, but it's for various projects and grant opportunities that might come up that don't fall under the mill site.
Separating the mill site. Do we have a list of those grants you just mentioned?
Yes, they're in my monthly report. In my monthly report, I have a summary of all the grants that we've gotten, whether they're grants loans, whether they've been closed, whether they're in process, all of them.
But what we don't see though is like, you show us the grant amount, but you don't show us like what's left to be spent or what's been spent. Is that something that can be included in your monthly report?
No,
No.
it makes it too long. I already have an accounting of the grants. I already have an accounting of where the TIP expenditures are.
Do the council get a copy of your like expense reports every month? Like where your grant money is at this point in time, you've spent X number of dollars or
I
whatever?
can- You know, I don't know if the treasurer gives them copies. I know she gives me a copy of what comes out of the discount and the expenses are in there.
And those are like outlined for each edition, each grant is specifically
No,
outlined.
it's totally separate accounting. Totally separate accounting because that goes to the EPA and the state of Maine.
So that's not included in this tip
That is
budget.
not included in there, and those do not go to the municipal budget at all.
So I guess I need to ask a question relating to every month the town council votes on money that they receive either in grants or donations. But I don't think I've ever seen any money accepted for these grants that you talked about earlier, like these $1 million grants. They don't have to vote on those grants as they come in.
In my understanding, they do not,
Mhm.
because the money does not flow to the municipal fund.
The money we get from like the EPA brownfield grant or anything
It's
like
a
that.
reimbursement grant specifically. We do not get the money. We do not have it in our account until we submit the invoices and then they give us the money to cover them.
Right, so, but shouldn't we have some sort of an accounting process
We
for
do
that?
have an account.
Okay, but it's not part of this tip budget.
It is not part of that tip budget.
So with regards to the grant, there is a reporting mechanism that shows,
Because we are subject to audit every single grant we have from the EPA and the state of Maine as well as our audit.
but at some point in the FY 21 audit report, the auditors mentioned something about grant monies being expended without being prior authorization.
Okay, so I will clarify that. That has nothing to do with any of the grants that we have received in our department. That has to do with the former airport grant, where they got money back in 1982 for tree cutting that they did not do. And then they did not verify and report back that they finally had finished the project. That had nothing to do with any of the grants that I handle.
Okay, so going forward with any accounting or auditing work, they're going to be able to see your work with regards to the
I
grant.
submit it to the audit on a basis, both the TIF budget sheets where I keep track of every department and every single grant. I have a separate accounting. And Cindy does it as well, so we can compare the notes and make sure that it's accurate. And then I also have a state representative and a federal representative that monitors it, and if there's any discrepancies, they let us know, so we can see where we might have put an invoice to the wrong grant number, because we're handling so many. And when I first took the job of grants administrator, we had a serious issue with the EPA because Jay Hardy had swapped grants and was charging, the wrong invoices to the wrong accounts. So we had to correct that. That was one of the first things we did, because that came up in an EPA audit.
Well, just one more question about the expenses. So when you pay out these invoices for the grant, they don't appear on the town warrant.
I put them through the town warrant and I put them through as a reimbursable grant. And I put them through for the purpose of the council seeing how much money is being funneled through. But it doesn't come out of the municipal budget. I don't know if, I'm not the treasurer, so I don't know if that's part of that warrant that they do. But I do know that I do a purchase order for every single item, every single grant item, and it goes through the warrant committee, and then we submit it to this federal and state reimbursement.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the way the council approves those warrants on a monthly basis, whether it should probably reflect that X number is out of general fund or taxes, and then the other is like grant money, because to me, it seems odd that some warrants are $7 million we're spending, and we're thinking, where could the town be spending $7 million in a month?
I'm not the treasurer, I don't know.
Yeah, I just think it's,
I don't need another job.
no, I just think it's very hard to understand as a taxpayer. Where could the town be spending $7 million this month if that's what the warrant says they've authorized? If it's not related to a grant.
I don't know how they're handling that.
I just have a quick, like, cause you said like you balance everything like and Cindy's doing it too. Are you doing it like through Excel? Or is it like, do you have software that is like,
It's Excel. I do it through Excel.
Is there software that you could use? I'm just thinking like ease of use, like you got software where it's gonna,
I
you know,
don't
that
know.
or Vicky, does Vicky know of like nice good
I,
software for grants?
nobody has ever mentioned it to me, and Vicky is well aware of how I'm accounting for it, and, all she's told me is it's great that both Cindy and I are doing it, so we can reconcile it and keep track of it. So if there are any discrepancies, we can discover them early on, so they don't go like they did before.
Like I would just check, like maybe someone can see if there's any type of software out there, but I would imagine there's something, but.
I don't know, George, I don't know.
The fire truck lease. If we have a fire truck lease here, it doesn't have a number. We spent a lot of time in the fire department with all their vehicles are going, but you don't have a number of what that vehicle is. So
I don't know what vehicle that is, Teddy. I
Oh,
was
really?
just given that by the treasurer, that the fire truck lease was coming out of the TIF budget. She never gave me a vehicle number, nothing, just that was a lease that they had. So to me, it was a fire truck.
yeah, and we added money for fire trucks because, so I'm wondering, I don't know how you can tell where you're not double counting.
I don't know how to put either.
Okay, thank you.
With, 4155.
$10,800. Does he have an assistant, or that's more of a raise than anybody else? Want hours or something, and
You said this was under the communications director?
yeah, 0155. Went from 81 to 91, 884, 10,804 increase.
I have 81.
Mine's got 91.
No, this says 91 for,
81 to 91, 10,804 increase.
I think that was probably because they didn't have his benefits in there fully. And that's a correction.
so the benefits show down below that it's 35,100 and the salary is 56,784. And that equals the 91,884. So you think, well, last year was 54,080 for his wages and 27,000 for his benefits. So the benefits have increased significantly.
Like I said, it had the wrong number. I don't believe that I can't remember what it was when I talked to Melissa, but I think it was either like FICA or something like that that wasn't in there. So it is now.
So you make those corrections at the end of the year, though, if the budget doesn't reflect the correct amount, when you actually do the.
When I go in to get the figures for the salaries that we have in there, and I go to check with Melissa to get all of the amounts, we discovered that she had omitted part of his benefits last year, and that the number that she'd given me was incorrect.
So
Now, I do not have the capacity to go into payroll or calculate what I have to get them from the treasurer.
right, I understand. Yeah, but normally they're like between 38 and 40%. So if they're not that much.
I just wouldn't know that. I wouldn't have a clue. I don't do benefits, and I don't do FICA, and I don't do.
Under the 0032 account for webpage, GIS, Creo, and internet. So we are allocating some of the Creo expense to TIF. And we're allocating the CAIAI web hosting to the TIF and the map updates. Do we do that every year?
We have a contractual expense contract that we pay every year for those things, the same amount. So I realize that the map updates are behind, but if I send them all of the corrections, they will do it for the same fee because it's contractual amount.
And who is that with?
That's CAI.
DAI?
C.
Oh, CAI. Okay.
Yep.
So do they also produce like a printed map at all? No, for the town?
I have a whole pile of them right in my office right now. Yep.
We have some under software programs and media equipment, we have more motor brain charges.
Right.
We're not duplicating any of those charges between the two departments, TIP and the regular. Like under the
No.
finance department.
No, we are not. I'm very clear on that. That probably went up a little bit because we discovered that with the E91 OGIS system, Stacy can attest to this. I had a volunteer come in because the addresses weren't being updated like they should have been. And Stacy came in to volunteer and she worked a considerable amount of time on them. And I got a call from the head of the OGIS down in the state. And they said, well, I don't know who's doing what, but you've got addresses in the lake. And I said, well, why do I have addresses in the lake? And they said, well, I don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. And he said, I couldn't figure it out. So I deleted all the changes you requested in the last year. And I said, you did what? And he told me that. And then I said, okay, so what could be the problem? And then he asked me what type of internet we had coming through the building, and it wasn't strong enough to support the program. So anything Stacy entered, it would be just like if you had interference, where, like spot out when you're doing a search in Google. So I had Motorbrain come in and rewire and upgrade the system. So now everything is up to date on 911. All the changes have been put in and they're being accepted properly. So those increases that you see for Motorbrain have to specifically do with different projects that I have.
Is all your software up to date, so it all interfaces and everything else? Is everything working the way it's supposed to? Trio, all of them?
I'm going to say that,
Is anything out of date now?
what do you mean?
Software programs.
We have the most current versions of the software, but to say that Trio runs smoothly without any hiccups would be an understatement. Right. I'm not gonna say that, but I'm going to say that I talked to other municipalities and they have different types of software and they have the same issues. They might be different, but the same issues. It's an affordability factor.
So this year you've got $6,000 new under web design and maintenance. That
We
is- that's a
formerly had a communications director that did her own web design. And what happened is it didn't get updated. It was cumbersome. Can I just do 1 second? Sean,
Yes.
thank you. Could you please explain why you felt it was necessary to go to design labs to help you with the web design?
It actually all started, well, first off, I wanted to change our website. I didn't like it. I thought it was clunky. I thought it was outdated. And I wasn't sure exactly where to go. And Chief Miller started. And he said, I want to do X, Y, and Z on our website, on my page. Can you do it? And I started to mess around with it and I couldn't figure it out. I got in touch with Motorbrain and they said no. And I figured out that I needed to go somewhere. I don't have enough. I'm not a web developer. That's not my history. That's not my forte. And I needed to get assistance with it. So with Go Design Lab, they host it, they update it. If I have issues with it, they will do it. If I drop dead tomorrow, you guys will, it'll continue to be updated and everything like that as well. That's also why I wanted to do it, was that way there was a backup plan. Because the other one, nobody knew how to do anything, really. And I had no support. I was on an island all by myself. And I mean, George, I'm not sure if you've ever dealt with Wix, but
Well, because we had Design Lab doing it.
We did, but it was the recommendation of the communications director at the time that we get rid of it. And at the time, let's just say the town manager had a issue with Design Labs, so they welcomed the opportunity to terminate the contract.
Okay.
So we're no longer with design lab?
We are with
we're
Design.
back.
Oh,
to
we're
Design
back.
Labs. I wanted to go back with I didn't care who it really was. I really wanted to go with a professional web developing company that I could have support with. And beyond that, they're also local. They're right up in the so.
So, but we still have some website software charges of $220,
That should be striked out.
so we don't need the.
No, the Wix should go away completely. That must have been my bad.
And text.gov is relating to that new stuff that you do with the text messages. to
Yeah, so the
everybody.
text messages, so I use it right now only for emergency alerts. I'm working with Wade now to, I mean, not Wade, Benton for code enforcement as well as George to get more active with that. Some other people in the past were a little bit hesitant to be to adopt it, and with them, with new people enrolled, I'm kind of forcing it upon.
It's not a reflection on LinkedIn, but I looked at a lot of town websites across Maine, and I find that text.gov message. A nuisance.
The pop-up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that unfortunately is a requirement from them that I was unaware of when we signed on with them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And whose cell phone is in this budget here for 520? Is that yours?
Awesome, so I'm the only one on the,
I do not have a town cell phone.
But you do.
I do.
So if we go and look at a big plan, will his still need to stay separate? Because they were gonna look, that was one of the recommendations, is to try to get this phone system.
So
Doesn't need
I,
to be, they can divide it out and just take that from the TIF fund at the end of the year, like they do the benefits.
yeah, we can just drop that. Yeah, boop, boop.
Just make sure you're in the count though when they try to negotiate.
Make sure I'm in the count when you try to negotiate.
Yeah.
Let's make sure you're on the account.
Yeah, I guess so.
His phone is included in the account. You go to-
Don't get rid of my phone. US Cellular. Well,
That's what it is for all the funds.
yeah. I wanna say we're all under the same account. From US Cellular, like we all have the same.
So if
account. I don't
he's
know
in
that-
there, Melissa was taking his money at the end of the year and applying it to the total. So I don't know if she has deleted that from what she has in the contract for the others or not.
Yeah, it was 660 and some were 500.
And I know I got, probably about a year ago, I have the latest iPhone because I requested a good camera. Because that's a camera I use for everything. I don't have a DSLR yet.
I've never had a town cell phone.
Thank you.
Well. Any other questions for me? Can I go back?
I don't know. If we do, I will holler.
I'll hear you.
Yeah, I'm just curious, because I know that you're giving these numbers, you punch them in here, so
That is correct.
somebody else is creating, so. Under 0022, marketing and branding, we're doubling that budget from 10,000 to 20,000. You any insight on that?
I don't. We have.
Hmm.
Was that for brochures maybe? Because I know,
It must have been.
I think, because I know we talked about,
That's
Something-
probably one of his wish lists.
something with the brochures or
Who
something,
is he?
me. I have a big wish list. I have a lot of big ideas.
And he knows when the budget's final, if I don't have enough, he's the first place I go.
What about this expense and miscellaneous? That's the whole as well. Do we have any idea what that would be?
Under what?
Miscellaneous and
001.
I don't know. That one I can't answer to.
Yeah,
Unless
that's helpful too.
because I know we talked about the computer. And
Is that under economic development or is
Yeah,
that under
economic
communication?
economic.
Okay, that's just because I had to cut my budget last year, so I brought it back to the prior year's level of funding. And again, if I need to cut it, I'll cut it, but I just brought it back to the prior year because I probably could use that money. But if I don't have it, I don't have it.
So from a
So what
comics,
is it usually used for, like miscellaneous and expense?
That is stuff that would be used for, like unexpected. Like, for instance, we had a grant that we had done a, environmental report for. that was paid for through a grant, and we thought we could reuse it to apply for another grant. We couldn't, we had to have it on their specific form. So we had to hire an environmental engineer to do that form as part of the grant. So that would cover those type of expenses.
And then under, you had mentioned it earlier, Charlie, under contractual services, if you add up those salaries that you have under the narrative, it doesn't equal 300,000.
It won't, because there's grant money coming in there that will supplement that. What do you mean? It doesn't equal 235?
Those numbers, 76,500, 94,660, and 72,000 for Vicky equal 243,160, not 300,000. So I'm just wondering what.
That is the Haley Ward, that is the attorneys, that's all the other expenses we had that I stated earlier.
I didn't see it broken down, that's all.
It's not broken down because I have no way to anticipate what comes in. And anything that's not spent in a TIP budget goes into a reserve for future projects. It's not something that, it goes into a reserve account for that TIP budget for future projects. It's not something that is over budgeted or under budgeted. It always stays in that budget for future opportunities as they come. For instance, if we have more money than we think, maybe the town council, instead of putting $25,000 in a dam reserve, will put in $50,000. If we don't spend at the end of the year all the money, then maybe they will make a motion, if we have reserves, to put more money in a different type of reserve account. So those options remain always open.
Well, I was just wondering, since they're under contractual services, whether it had to be used for that, or it's just, it gets dumped into like a UDF for TIP.
It does get dumped into a UDF for TIP. It's available for future other projects. And then I do, when we do have it, it is reported what the end balance is. And then it's like last year, for instance, the fire truck lease didn't come in that fiscal year. So I had that money carried forward so we could pay for that.
So is there anything in these reports that show what the UDF is for FY20?
Right now, we have about, I have those in my office. We have about $35,000 in the dam reserve. We have $5,000 in a reserve for attorney's fees. And right now, we are at about 40,000 in economic development reserve. Those aren't the exact numbers, but I can get you the exact numbers.
I wondered, anytime I pay into a federal grant, before you could even start work, you had to have a big piece of 4x8 sign for so long before you could even start it. There's only one sign at the mill states like 300,000 people. Grants not fall under that, or?
Yes, they do. We just had one removed from CV and Mahar because that project was done. We will be having more go up. Right now, we have just one contractor in there working, and that is Campbell Environmental. That's the sign you see. And they're working on the powerhouse in the lagoon. So they have their sign up for their grants. When we bid out the other ones, they will put signage up again.
Like the Brownsfield?
Yeah, well, they're not sure of what the wording is going to be, because the last direction they got from EPA, it was Build Back Better Joe Biden. Joe Biden is obviously not in office anymore. We haven't gotten any direction how the sign should change.
That's the only sign I've seen, period, is that small. I mean, any I was ever involved in, it had to be a 4x8 sign with back from the government. And he wasn't even allowed to work.
A picture is taken of those signs and sent into the EPA and the state when they start their project.
So we had to,
And if something wrong with it, they let us know.
Can I go to the other side of the ledger, please, page 2. At the very bottom, you got the TIP payments. And I noticed that the
fiscal year 27 numbers will fall significantly higher than fiscal year 26.
Yes, because I'm anticipating an increase in the mill rate this year.
So the mill rate goes.
If the mill rate goes
Not the asset value, not
If
the
the
asset
mill rate
value.
goes up, then we will get more money in and we'll owe the companies more than we commit. Conversely, if the mill rate comes in less than I anticipate, those figures will all change and they'll be less than what's on that sheet. But right now, with the increases we're looking at in the county and the increases we're looking at in the school and, what I see forthcoming, I think the mill rate's going up.
Thank you.
Even with the value that you might be adding, you think it's gonna go up?
That value that's added was 0.004% of the total budget.
Yeah, but there should be more. I mean, there are more value.
I won't know that until that company goes and does the 5-year audit of all the 5 years worth of permits.
Because I thought we talked about, or somebody talked about, doing a look back of 3 years on some of those properties that were just, captured by filing. Is there any way we can do that?
I made the statement that we went through the first years. And the next step is to go through the permitting to see if the permits were, so we can ascertain how many years those structures were there. And if I couldn't ascertain it through permits, then it was going to the code enforcement officer for review to see if he could determine when they were built. Once he gives me that report back or gives the assessor that report back, then we can go back to those bills. But your maximum is going to be that 56.4 that we just discovered. It's going to be less than that, those other incremental years.
56,400 shop and voting value.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about that in taxes.
Oh.
Taxes receivable. The value is 3.2 million. And that represents 0.004%.
So at some point, there'll be a report from the assessor or whoever does the report that says, yes, we've ascertained there are some properties that probably were developed earlier, and we can go back and test for that value as well.
I would imagine there will be.
But the number is gonna be very small again. So,
Yeah.
That's not the problem. It's not gonna solve the problem.
Well,
I'm trying to say,
yeah, I understand there are other problems that need to be addressed, like you said, the school and the county and.
Okay, so here is the situation. Residential valuation does not make a significant difference in the overall budget. I understand that all these properties need to be assessed to make it fair and equitable. I understand that, and we're working toward that. But if you are expecting it to make a significant difference in the mill rate, it will not. That 56,400 would have been applied to the overlay this year. It would not have even entered into the tax bill that people get. We are allowed a 5% overlay for errors and mistakes done, and that is by town of Lincoln. It's always put at max 2% or less in that overlay. This year it was only $11,000 because we tried to keep the mill rate as low as we could, with the understanding that we knew this problem existed. So any of the pickup value that we got, if we had more corrections that we needed to make than we had in overlay, that money would be used to offset that, to make sure that that was whole. That's why Dennis took so much from UDF and some from what we're anticipating collecting. You want to make a difference in your mill rate. You want to make a difference for taxes. The way you're going to do it is you're going to do it with industrial development over at that mill. Because when you add a project such as $3 million and it only makes up $56,000, one mill is equivalent to $174,000 in taxes. That is 3 times what we found for properties. And I had Byron target the areas that I knew were problematic. You know, so, to make a difference, you need the developments like the battery storage facility that's going to be a $300 million project. Yes, we will tip those because they are at the mill, but that also does not reflect that we'll be getting $500,000 a year in lease revenue from it. That's gonna be different.
One thing that says here very clearly, you haven't mentioned, is if you go to regular properties, you increase it $1, you lose 50 cents in revenue sharing education. But the advantage, the whole advantage of TIF, if you can present that so they have a clear standing, how that doesn't contribute to that. Does everybody, I know you that. Does everybody else understand it?
I don't,
Why?
well, I think it's a very good concept to understand, and the idea of capturing this value is that when you add significant value to your overall town, the state of Maine looks at it that your ability to pay for your services is increased. So they decrease your revenue sharing and your education subsidies. So say you add this $300 million project from Form Energy and you leave that on the tax rolls. What's going to happen is the taxes generated from that $300,000 value, you're only going to see the taxes in your municipal budget equivalent to like $150 million, because they're going to decrease your revenue sharing and your education subsidy by that much. Not only does it do that, as your valuation increases, your school gets that formula where your valuation is increasing. So then your subsidy, your allocation per child also increases. So when you do TIF, you're actually getting your best bang for your buck because you're keeping your taxes more stable. But there are other benefits to it because, like we said, the development plans can be used to offset expenses in the municipal budget. But until we get that development, the focus is getting it here. I don't know if I explained that.
No, you have a good, you don't have your pages there, but an example of TIF does a really good one. And then before, it's basically the way they played the whole accounting game here is better for a town to put as much money in TIF as they can.
When the TIP program first came out and I first became aware of it, I encouraged Lincoln Paper and Tissue at the time to file for a tax increment financing plan because I knew that they were struggling. But I do believe that the TIF committee that made a TIF policy for the town of Lincoln was very good in the fact that they set parameters, because there's a lot of municipalities around the state that are tipping Tim Hortons. They're tipping McDonald's, they're tipping things like this. That doesn't make that much of a difference in your budget. You're basically subsidizing that community's economic development. So the TIF committee here made a policy that you have to have a significant development of a certain monetary amount, and you have to have a benefit additionally with employment and elsewise. I'm grateful that they did that. Because we just had a restaurant in town come in and ask me if they could be tipped.
No. 50% of restaurants wonder.
Well,
Yeah.
I had my policy, so I said, you don't meet the criteria.
No, it's one of the worst,
But it,
riskiest businesses there is.
yeah, well, that wasn't my decision to make, but I was glad I had that policy.
Under maintenance parks and lights, or is that street lights or is that?
That's street lights.
Street. So that pays the utilities.
Mhm.
So is that taking
That
into
pays
account?
for repair.
Oh.
Does not pay the utilities.
Oh.
That budgets for 2 crashes on Main Street a year for the light poles downtown.
So it doesn't pay for like when the traffic light was put out on access.
If we haven't used it for, it wouldn't pay for the one on the access road. Because that one is not in a TIF district. It would pay for the one down here on Depot Street. Or the one up here by the doughboy. But it would not pay for that because that's not in a TIF district. That's the other thing about TIF. Is you have to define the area where you're going to allocate those funds.
So under the TIF budget for Parks and Rec, this is in addition to what he has in his budget current. This TIF money.
Yes. That is not included in his regular budget.
So for instance, under professional development,
That's for lifeguard training.
so if we were to look in his department, he didn't put that in his department.
That is correct. That is specifically for WSI and lifeguard training.
And what is the equipment rental
Portable toilets
for the, where?
for the events, for the park, for the beach, for the playground up at Ballard Hill. Toilets.
Because we have a separate line for events for toilets, so that's not that.
That's the whole thing. That's a whole different one. A little festival.
And so we buy flags each year for Main Street,
We do,
replacement flag.
we do.
And what is the sign amount for?
The sign amount is for if we have signs for like, Prince Thomas Park. For like the, playground up on the side of the bank. Or, the welcome to Lincoln signs. Things like that that may be falling into disrepair, then those are for replacement. And that would cover the Wayfair signs as well. Wayfair? Yeah, the Wayfair sign.
To the lakes. Oh, yeah, yeah. The boat landing amount, is that to pay for the road association?
It is.
So we have like 3 or 2.
We have currently 2 road associations. That send us a bill because the town has a boat launch down both. We don't have road maintenance fees from other roads because we don't have a public access point down that road. So we're contributing to the maintenance because we're contributing to the traffic.
So one is Norton now and the other is Folsom Pond.
That is correct. Yep.
And the CP&R wages.
Cemetery Parks and Recs, that's for summer employment.
But there was money in his budget for everything he said. he
It
needed.
doesn't cover those people. It covers the lifeguards. It covers the leaders that go around town and keep the flower beds clean. It covers the labor, like if he assigns his lawnmowers to come and do parks downtown, their wages come out of that line item. He does not have the wages for the maintenance of Main Street and the parks in the Main Street area in his budget. It is in the TIF budget.
I assume, again, here we go with assuming, but I assumed when he had a list of all the summer recreation, assistant waterfront, summer assistant lifeguards, WSI instructor, this is everybody that was being paid for the summer.
No, that's just the lifeguard. He has other workers like the readers and things like that that he also pays. And he sometimes pays Teddy.
Well, that's a lot of money. That's 45 in your budget and another 43 in his budget.
He may not get that, depends on what it comes out. Like I said, it's a wish list. He may not end up with that.
And the wharf money is to replace wharfs.
The goal is to replace the wooden docks with aluminum.
I know a lot of these numbers do fit you, so they're not personal passion. But you're the only one we can talk to at this point. What we're finding out, same thing with the police, the public works and stuff, is that they are budgeting, when we look at their budget, full-time officers, full-time fire people, full-time people on the highway to plow and stuff, 2,080 hours a year. And then we're seeing other bits and pieces within these budgets. So, for example, you got 0158, which is fire $1,000 for the event.
Right.
And 0157 wages for the police for the event. So that 3,500, we keep thinking that's all, they've already told us they've got that over here. And we've got it over here too, so.
I know that the traffic control during the festival is what is represented with that fire and heat.
Right.
I do not know if Miller has included that in his budget. And I don't know if that's going to give it in this budget.
Right, you've been given those numbers to put in.
That I got for those specific purposes.
I
I
just
did not see it's not, it's a fire this year, last year we had a problem. This year it's not. I'm assuming it's just.
Is that what? Have we proven that out?
Yeah, he has overtime, so how do you know it's not in the, his overtime number?
As far as special events, please, I haven't looked at it. Last year we had the same thing. You can see it two places. This year it isn't.
Well, if you look at the hours he has for his people,
But,
there's only so many hours in a year.
So buildings and grounds for cemetery for 6,000, you know what we're paying there?
That is mulch, that is planting, that is, everything at the gazebo, everything downtown, the flower baskets downtown, the mulch that goes on, the monuments in the roadways, and it's, maintenance for wood chips and things like that at the beach.
You know what year we are with that fire truck lease that you're talking about? I know. The West Broadway bond, you know what year we're in?
The West Broadway bond, we're in year. Just look that up. It's a 30-year bond. And I believe we're just about halfway through. Maybe 13 years.
just come up far as McDonald's, right? So, yeah, access road. The widening part.
Yes. Yep. Great for McDonald's.
Anything else on tip?
So what do you plan to do with the gazebo rebuild?
The gazebo rebuild, because of the wind tunnel that goes up through there, the wooden shingles have a tendency to curl up in the sun and look really dreadful. And the maintenance, the wood and stuff, we're going to try to put it to renovate it so it is more on a low maintenance type of thing, like doing our architectural asphalt shingles for the roof with a 25-year warranty, so we're not looking at replacing various wooden shingles every so many years and stuff. We're just looking for something that's going to extend the life. We'd like to change the railings to the vinyl. We'd like to coat the beams with vinyl. We'd like to do that so it maintains its appearance for longer and it has a longer life and it doesn't require so much manual maintenance.
Is that something that you can do with Chris Javner over Region 3, at Region with the carpenter plan?
I don't see any reason why we couldn't. I don't see any reason, but that was one of the projects that have gotten cut, and we have a volunteer here that he keeps.
Oh, okay.
He keeps asking for a raise, and I keep telling him I'll give him a raise on what he's making right now. This is nothing. It's a joke, but he's volunteered to help us with that.
I do know that Chris Javner has one excellent student that's going on to Skills USA and stuff, so if you wanted help, Chris would be a good person to reach out to.
So I'm sorry. So the wages that are in that contractual services has already been increased the cost of living for everybody, including the
No,
Steve, and so this is just what you had last year.
They do sell metal shingles now for $5.50 per square foot in the Dale County of Food. They're on 7 Mountain View, put it on my daughter's house, and they look really good. And In a 50-year warranty.
You know,
Yeah.
any suggestions you have like that where I might not know, the longer we can do it, so it's not, you know, maintenance free, the better.
Yeah.
So if you have suggestions, please pass them along.
I can shoot it to you. So,
That would be great. I appreciate it.
Anything else on tip? Or move on? All right,
If you want to meet on that, I can.
Sure. Thank you, Ruth.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, what are we on now?
So we will move to finance.
I thought we did that. We did.
No, we skipped it.
V,
We did, yeah, I
So
think
everybody-
we did.
yeah, we did it, okay.
We did.
So we will move to utilities. Great, utilities on page 58. 0049 light maintenance and parts, department request $3,000. I will make a motion for the department request. Discussion?
I have a question.
Yep.
This is new, this video detection system, wait,
No idea, man.
well, I was under the impression that we couldn't post video detection systems on certain poles, including traffic lights in the state of Maine.
We don't know why somebody would put it in there if it's illegal, I guess.
well, it's been the whole discussion, the violation of Fourth Amendment rights to be monitored at all times when you haven't done anything wrong. That's.
Oh, I agree with that. I mean, I'm all for not having it, don't get me wrong.
Yep.
But as far as to being in this particular item, I would assume whoever put it in would know whether it was legal or not. Okay, what did he say?
He was getting a grant for a license plate detected system
Okay,
for his cruisers. And he said something about it is illegal to post it on certain lights, traffic signals.
so this category, just so I know, utilities, who came up with it? That we're going over,
I'm guessing. it was
because I wouldn't know who to ask questions to.
I'm
unless
guessing it
came
was
up with
Melissa,
Okay,
so it's
so
guessing.
then there's nobody I can ask. Because the one thing I've heard the most in 2 weeks, well, weeks, sorry, in the last 5 days is, oh, that's the treasurer. Anytime I've got questions, so I've been very slow in trying to get answers to
But we
questions.
do have an assistant treasurer, don't we?
Who is very overwhelmed, yes.
Well, it didn't
Really is
increase.
encouraging me to get a treasurer as soon as
Well,
possible.
it didn't increase over last year, so I don't understand how you could afford it anyway, so. I guess,
So this was in last year's, is what you're saying?
no, I'm saying last year's budget was 3,000, this year's budget is 3,000, so I don't understand how we can afford a new system. If we're not,
I think it's a new system.
excuse
I
me,
think, I said, I don't think it's a new system. I think it's just for the light maintenance, because I don't know why they have the video detection system.
yeah, I don't know why it didn't include. Do we, I don't think we have one.
I would assume Chief Miller would be the one to ask about that. I mean, I've not seen one here in this office.
They've updated the lobby down at the police, so we know when somebody's coming in. and whatnot.
Yes, when I was at the police office last week, police station last week, they do have 6, 8 different cameras, but it's all
It's
in
all-
that general area and in their building, not anywhere other than their parking lot or their entrance. That I'm aware of, but I didn't look at it that closely, to be honest with you.
Well, I guess my question is, do we have a video detection system on any of the traffic lights or, well, I know we have one downtown that Motorbrain has on the webpage. So is that what this is?
We have a video.
Like on
detection
Martin's.
system.
Yeah,
One,
Yeah.
looks obvious.
it looks at the
No,
square.
I'm just assuming because it's 12 lights, then I don't know if the camera like is for changing the light when there's no traffic, but there's 12 lights, so that would be down there. There's 3 on each side, 4 sides, 3 on each side.
Yeah, I know the lights are included, but I'm just wondering, what is the video detection system that they're talking about in this explanation?
Well, you think the
Yeah, I
traffic-
bet that is, it's the lights.
These are-
or it's
this is
at the
traffic light
depot
maintenance.
place
It's
where you
everyone's out
go
there
to-
in traffic light. It's a traffic light, yeah, so you switch them with the video now, there used to be wires in the pavement, and that's the old, the old technology. Now it's done through video. There used to be cables that were, remember,
Yeah, I understand they
Still
used to be in the ground.
yeah, and then now they do it through the video. So these are traffic, they're missing traffic light.
So it's not a monitoring video system for
It's not-
traffic that's going
They're
through.
not recording anything for,
This is just to maintain the light. It's a video system to maintain the light.
Yeah, so the video detects the car's there and says, hey, listen, you get green over here once it comes clear.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, adding traffic to that, we probably should verify this is true.
Yeah.
We're just surmising.
That's what it actually is.
Traffic light. Yeah. So I added it,
Okay,
assuming that's true,
assuming that's what it is.
make a motion to approve it if it is.
Well,
a traffic light.
we already have a question.
Oh, we
yes,
did.
yeah.
George and
Very tricky.
Dave.
I think that's on his sleeve. I'm not new thing.
All those in favor? 0063 Communications, Spectrum Internet Fiber for Business, Department request $3,300.
I guess I don't know what this is.
12 locations at $275 a piece.
Well, what is this?
It's for the internet for
Internet.
town office. And the buildings.
Didn't it come under finance already? I mean, I think we're
Oh,
doubling
so.
up on everything. Let's see what we can do. This says Spectrum Internet for Business, and you have. Transfer
I
station.
haven't seen anything for internet. Make a motion for the department request $3,300.
Second,
Any discussion, anybody? Seems awful. Seems high to me, though.
I think it is, right?
Well, 26, we
It's
just,
fiber optic.
it's 29 and 21. So it looks like we're gonna repeat this. This is talking about locations, 275, 12 of them. So-
It's 12 months at 275.
So if it's a lease and we have 12 of them, we have spent that in the past.
That's we're spending $7,800 a month, a year. We're paying $650 a month. Seems high to me, but it's more than, I guess depends on speed, but it's more than we pay with other services, so.
And you also said this is split with tips, so that means we actually have 66.
They got 4,500 in tip for it, so it's 7,800 total.
It seems high.
And again, like I said, I don't know what Spectrum charges for business, I mean, I just know what I pay, my job, so
It's in line.
it's less than that, but. We also have a different type of setup, yeah.
Fidium's down 2 cents. I wonder if anybody's put it out today to check their price.
As I said, I would amend my motion to approve the department request, but also look at the actual Fidium fiber or anyone that does fiber besides Spectrum.
So do a bid process for,
Yeah, or I mean, you just get quotes on.
or get
you know,
quotes,
on
yeah.
Pricing per month.
Didn't you just upgrade the system? That was part of the problem when I turned over the map.
That's what Ruth said, yeah.
It was just done. Like last fall.
Yeah, that's when they can. Look at pricing, but again,
Mapping requires high capacity, because it's feeding millions of gigabytes per second.
It just kept buffering and kicking me out. We never knew when it was kicking me out. So it was awful.
all right, any discussion? Who was the second on that?
Charlie,
Any other discussion? All those in favor? 0. 0065, Department request $24,024. That is extremely high.
yeah.
There's a problem with these things. You go to switch your phone company, you have a expensive phone system that interconnected, you can lose a lot of money putting a new phone system that has, too many people interconnect. So I don't know, do they have that here?
What do you mean?
Like I said, I'm pretty sure they just have a basic VoIP system, so it shouldn't be anything, shouldn't matter what you have for.
I think Spectrum could offer them a bid. This is,
It's basically what they call in the main phone and you transfer it to somebody else. And then the main phone line now becomes available, somebody else call in. It's those systems.
Usually you have a PRI, I don't think you guys have a PRI here, I assume, not, so.
I don't know what a PRI is.
It basically gives you like, I want to say 14 phone lines, so if you call in.
That I don't know how
14
many,
phone lines.
So looking at the phone, there's 3 phone numbers on it. There are 3 town phone numbers, and then there's some other options. I'm not 100% sure what they all do, but that's all I see on there. I don't know a lot about the phone system, except it's a landline. It's not a cloud-based system.
Cause I mean, it's about $28 a phone line. So it's about 800, it should be about 840 a month. And we're paying 2,000, so.
I think if you went out to bid and asked somebody to bid on internet, cell phones,
That's why, like, I'm curious because
All
it
of
says
it.
Fairpoint, it should be consolidated.
yeah,
It's
it's
Fairpoint.
actually consolidated communications, not.
And they don't do analog phones anymore, and actually, they just, if you want one, you have to pay, and that could be why, because analog phones have gone from, business lines have gone from, they're on fiber and digital. So analog lines, you're paying like $80 a line,
I bet they
which-
are still analog.
because they don't offer those anymore. The only ones you can even get them for are elevator lines and things like that, that require a hard line, so.
They upgrade the phone.
I don't think so.
But they're gonna do phone system in years, a couple of
But I
years
still
ago.
think it's.
When they
analog.
moved into here or the other building.
Can't remember if it was before or after.
But Spectrum could do it all, right? They could do your what, your internet,
I
your
mean,
cell
consolidated.
cell phones and.
Not pay $28 a month for phone lines to consolidated.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to change that to $10,080, which is $900.
I'll second
With the going out to get better pricing.
Yeah.
Because the only hard part on like change carrier, if you have to change carriers is you have to coordinate your overtime.
Yeah.
But they usually get it right down to like within 5 minutes. So. Motion and second, any other discussion?
I just was gonna say, I don't know how it works with Consolidated or any of the other companies here, out on Swans Island where I'm at. And I can't remember the name of the company right this second, but it's not one of these bigger name local ones. It's somebody from out in the Midwest somewhere that services that for phone and internet access for a business. It's considerably more expensive than it is for residential. You're mentioning you paid 38 or 28 or
Yeah,
whatever.
I have like 30, 5 phone lines we have.
I tried
Audio
to,
effect machines.
for our church on the island to get it, they'd only let us get a business rate. And it was probably 3 times what the residential rate was. The residential rate out there was $50, and we're gonna be paying close to 150 a month for the same. So I don't know if that's the same thing here. I don't know how all that
I mean,
works.
I guess it depends on.
I
what
just
you
know that's
do.
my only experience is again, with this company I wish I could. It's not consolidated, it's not Spectrum. I just can't think of what it's called. I don't use them. For internet, we use Sterling, so
Ours is consolidated and resold by GWI, so
DWI.
Greater Works
that's
Internet.
down south of me, right? So
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
DWI.
Biddeford, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the, like even without a contract, it's like $29 a month, so.
Okay,
For business, the business line, to
Yeah.
dedicated business. Line. I don't know what Spectrum charges, but it should be in that ballpark, I would say.
right.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
TDS, that's the name of the other phone company. Just kidding. Not for around here. That was out on the island. In case you anybody wanted to look it up, make sure I was being honest.
0066 electricity department request $182,740. Make a motion for the department request.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? 0067 heating fuel department request $19,240.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Towards the bottom of 0067, there are 2 entries for the town office. It appears that one part of the town office uses natural gas, the other uses propane. Why is that?
I think it has to do, somebody told us, Dennis, yeah, because they're connected to the hospital side over there. There's a certain number of offices that are connected to the hospital side, which is natural gas, and the rest is just propane.
And is there a volume?
It's
Is there a
just-
problem with the size of the pipe? We can't.
I don't
we
know
can't
if it's
push more.
the landlord who did that because he decided that's all he could afford. I don't know. Who knows why the landlord did that? That's what they're faced with, I think.
But all it is to change is the orifice plate, just a hole, the bigger hole for natural gas, smaller hole for propane. The burner is exactly the same.
Hmm.
So that's all, it's very low cost to convert over to natural gas,
Well, it's certainly less expensive to use natural gas.
but I'm not sure when well, you can see there what the volume is.
But I don't think it's something that we can tell,
$3,000.
I don't think we can tell the landlord to change that.
I would say if we're paying for everything,
Yeah,
we have to pay for all the maintenance anyways. So.
it's a very low cost.
Can't we ask the question?
I think it's,
Doesn't hurt that.
yeah, it doesn't hurt that, it does.
Yeah. And then
What
natural
would it
gas,
cost to convert this propane side to natural gas?
the biggest cost is bringing the natural gas over there. That's the biggest cost.
If they plumber to run some pipe over to the other.
Yeah,
That
the
side
other
of the
side,
office.
yeah.
And to change out the, this, that he said the orifice or orifices. I don't know how many it's for.
If we're using propane over here, then how can they control our heat?
It's this side of the building is on their side, that side is by itself.
Oh, okay.
So that's why, this is why it's divided,
Okay.
because this part is covered out.
According to what Dennis told us, yeah.
Yeah, they get the thermostat for this room.
Yeah. So if this does happen, then it would reduce that by, like almost $2,000 of propane to natural gas.
Or we might spend that.
Yeah, the first year, you'll
Well, the first year, you're gonna probably change that, make that in, getting it accurate.
Yeah.
But after that, it should be
Correct.
So how do they calculate what we owe for if it's over there?
We didn't say anything to do with budget, but I don't know. I imagine it's all like 6, 7.
probably just do about square footage and that's it.
Yeah. I'd just be curious, like, to see what.
Maybe it's
they're
square
spending per
footage,
year.
like you said, yeah, maybe they just count the square footage and provide the bill that way.
But I mean, if like, just say like if they're, without seeing the bill, like I'm hoping we're checking the bills and we're getting like an accounting for the whole year. Cause if we're paying like 80% of the
Yeah, that's.
total heating cost, like,
Hopefully, we get the
when they have-
total bill for the whole building for that natural gas, and then our percentages we can get in that bill somehow.
Yeah.
And that side is the natural gas over there,
Yes,
or that side's propane.
It's from that wall, as I understand it, from that wall. To.
To all the way-
far side of this building, it's
Yeah.
heating natural gas.
So how do we, so the question is, how do we know what our responsibility for the natural gas is?
yeah, how is that calculated? Do they show us the total bill for the year and then they show us our square footage, or they just come up with a number?
Should be yearly.
Yeah, I'm sure that's. what it is.
and
Me
if they're,
too.
so I was gonna say, if they
My
dictate
brother's
the
a plumber.
temperature too, like they should be paying more of it. If they want it 75 degrees and
Oh, yeah, exactly. How do you control how hot it gets?
like
I know that.
there should be some type of negotiation,
There you go.
provided they have that, I would hope, but.
But you would also remember how much gas pressure comes to go.
Yeah, that's part of the other problem, is natural gas can go boom.
Is that no.
And that might be a reason why they did the natural gas slash cooking.
With the what?
Because of the number of BTUs that are going through the building, whether it could have allowed that for this commercial building.
The water heater is 38,000 BTU.
Yep.
Okay. And this heating this up could take more, it could take up to 52,000 BTU. So if the meter only allows so much, then that's why we switch over, they got propane here. Probably because problem landlord too much to extend the spending. Then change over the focus on controls and gas controls. But you also gotta figure out, a lot of business, you got 5 pounds of gas left on that. That's where you got the meter and the regulator, about so much poundage to go. You only need like water, you don't even need half a pound to do water.
Yeah, usually the water comes in, usually 5 inches of water call. Not even 5 PSI or more, you're not even allowed to use thread. People will miss. Yeah, well,
Put a regulator on the meter,
but still,
on the meter.
but they can get as much gas here as they want. There's no limitation to gas.
Well, for the propane.
No, but I mean for natural gas to get over to service that little building is very little more.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you don't know what's coming in from the street. To do both sides of it.
He might not have upgraded the entire initial.
No, but gas company has what the plastic pipe can take, which I think is at 60. The mill's at 100 because I put that one in, and then from there we reduced it down the pressure, so we go to plastic pipe for the rest of the mill. And then I sized everything in the plant to handle all the boilers and everything that we're going to handle. Is what I sized the main going in there. So anyway, it's there's plenty of gas here. That little room is minuscule for how little you need.
So how come we're spending so much on propane if it's just little?
Because there's more money.
Well, I know, but
So I think the issue here, we look at the lease, we ask the landlord if we can. Or extend the natural gas line over here at our expense and.
Well, initially Bangor Gas, because of gas and was doing it for free. Because
Yeah,
they
I
wanted
know.
customers.
yeah, they wanted the customers.
I don't think they're doing that anymore. Oh. Yeah, in my building, they took it right to
the outs, right to the regulator outside, the piping from there into my boiler. Was done by my own. Guy I hired, which is very low cost. But I kept everything propane there just in case they played the game and went too hot. Because they're all different controls. Anyway, it's just a simple question. But you're probably gonna have to get two numbers. And JJ Mertz is the one who's done it for me, really good at it. I don't know if you guys have a preferred vendor.
So far, a preferred vendor that I know has to do with plumbing, so, or valve checks, that's as far as I've gotten to so far.
Make a motion.
We need a
accept this
motion, yeah.
As it's written, with the caveat of them doing some research on trying to save some money and switching over.
Second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor? 0068 Water and Sewer Department request $285,284. I'll make a motion for the department request.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Discussion.
Curious as to the height of fee 2026. Does anyone know what that's all about?
Yeah, that's the fee that PUC allows the water district to charge the town to have those hydrants water ready. It's part of a law that says any water district that has hydrants in their town, they can give a certain percentage of their budget bill to the town for the hydrant fee.
How many hydrants do the town have?
Quite good. I don't know exactly how many. We used to know that information, but I'm sure if you call the water district, they can tell you right off the top of their head. But that fee did increase this year with their rate increase. Quite significantly.
You know, it makes no sense in it, but I never seen, if every water department usually flushes out their hydrants once a year. Because the pipes are too big and it keeps sediment on the bottom. So if you start to only use them during a fire, you're gonna sandblast a whole bunch of stuff. But the main reason they do that is they then do a residual test on it. So they know how much pressure is available when they actually run in a hydrant at the 1,500 gallons a minute. Every other place I go to design, I can go to the town and say, what's the static pressure, what's the residual pressure? So I know what pipeline to put in for a sprinkler system. This town is like, we just know static, because they never flush any out. I've never seen a town not flush their hydrants. It's very odd. And I'm really surprised the fire department doesn't complain about it, because if you don't have that data, you don't know what the weak part of your system is. Because if you got a place that's really low, you know, hey, I'm gonna need 2 pumper trucks over here. Unless they know it by experience. It's a lot easier to just know it by data.
Should the water department do that? Or should the
Oh, yeah,
fire
oh,
department?
that is the water department's responsibility to flush the water, to flush the dirt out of the water.
Can we make it?
That's the and it's done the other part, yeah. Yeah, they're not probably gonna be happy, but it's, every city I've ever, this is talking Maine here, I'm not talking out of state. But is like that, they flush it. In the really good ones, you'll see different colors on the hydrant, and that tells you specifically, I mean, that's a whole NFPA thing. It tells you what the residual pressure is just by looking at the color that they do the little capsule.
Can we ask the town manager to, or write a letter to the water district to see if they could start that flushing process annually?
Yeah, it's a static and residual hydrant test. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if they got a shortage of people or what. But they
I
never-
believe so.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? All right, 0.
No.
Do we want to stop there or do we want to try to do social services in 15 minutes?
We can try to do services.
Could be simple. All right, page 75.
Right. What do we frequently use?
Yeah.
All right, item 0010, professional development, department request $100. We'll make a motion for the department request. Discussion.
Who administers it?
That's the,
Treasurer,
yeah, treasurer was the general assistant administrator.
Right, and that's the way the job ad reads is treasurer, general assistant, and treasurer lead. I'm not mistaken.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
I didn't get the second, who did that?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
All right, 0076 burials, department request $1,025. I'll make a motion for the department request. Any discussion? All those in favor? 9-0. 0091 rent, department request $4,500. Make a motion for the department request. Discussion.
That's for rental assistance.
Yes. Okay, all those in favor? 9-0. 0093 supplies, department request $400. Make a motion for the department request. Discussion. All those in favor? 9-0. 0098 food assistance, department request $300. I'll make a motion for the department request. Any
I think
discussion?
I would discuss it with that. We give the food covered later.
Yes, yeah.
How can we just tell them, give them the number for the food? Is there some
They have
different?
different criteria than
They got
the
different.
general.
General assistance, yeah,
Yeah.
general assistance, you don't have a choice, you have to,
Well, there is some criteria, but
Yeah.
it's not as strict as with the,
but as long as they qualify, you can't deny them.
right.
More restrictive or town?
The town has more restrictions, but they can also offer more in food assistance than what the covered does.
Well, it was the St. Mary's food covered until they had to take the word St. Mary's off so they could get more federal grants.
Yeah.
Well,
It could
State,
be
yeah.
affiliated.
it was interesting.
All those in favor? 0099 medical supplies for assistance, department request $50. Make a motion for the department request. Executive discussion. All those in favor? And 0102 social services, department request $10,000. I'll make a motion for the department request. Discussion.
Yes. I think it's kind of unusual that we put animals and people at the same percentage. I just think people are more important than animals. I just take that from each person who eats meat. I don't eat dogs though. Or, yeah. But I just think that's very interesting how this has gone throughout the whole thing.
I don't think you can control the contract with the Humane Society. They charge you a certain number per dog or per cat that they get, and that's historically what they.
Oh, and they have the right to get it from the town, is that? what-
Yes.
Yes, we have a contract
Oh.
with them, but we have to.
Deal with that,
deal
okay.
with that.
They do, they'll look at how many dogs they brought in last year and then it's a percentage off of that. So it's how they come out with their number. They have a formula that they
It just happened to be the
demonstrate.
thing.
Yeah,
We got a letter this week from the Humane Society that is not no longer 5,000, going up 40%, it's now 96.
Wow.
wow.
That just came in.
So
Monday, Wednesday,
14,000.
Tuesday, so a month either come in yesterday or today,
It
but
must have something to do with their clinic that they're holding to.
maybe
Give all of their animals the vaccinations and spaying and neutering that they were doing.
that could be, they said that it tried for the last X number of years to hold down costs and they just can't do it anymore, so. My mind is a little easier to absorb if you would pump it a little bit each year instead of 40% at once, but I don't run those facilities, so I don't know. But what truly they tried to do, but that's the letter that we got this week, so 9,600 is what they're saying that we owe them.
One of the things you could do, though, that we've never been able to get is an audit report from that organization that shows how much they get from other communities as well as Lincoln. And,
Sarah's been about that before.
I don't remember, I don't remember.
Okay, she
You-
went through it all. I don't know if she's still in charge, but Sarah Stewart was one time.
You can go on the website for IRS and look at their 990 form, their nonprofit federal form and get a lot of the information, but there's still some missing information from that form.
I do know since the Nesson retired, there's some restrictions on what they can do for free services in the area, and I do know they did a lot of free work for the Humane Society before. So that may be influencing why this cost is driven up so much.
I'll amend my motion to, for department request of 14,600. Unless anyone wants to up the amount for food covered.
So they need more.
Sure, they definitely could be more. Actually, you know what, I'll amend it to add another 5,000, make it a 19,600,
So you're gonna put 10,000 to the food cover?
yes.
They always more than the dogs.
Yeah, thank you.
That's our rationale.
Is there a second?
I was like,
All right, discussion. All right, all those in favor?
So they'd be very happy to get more money.
All those opposed? 8-1. Charlie opposed. And 0186 utilities, department request $1,000. Make a motion for the department request. Discussion? All those in favor? Oh, go ahead.
What is utility cost? If you got heating assistance, so this other utility?
Yeah, general assistance utilities.
Okay.
No, like
Not heating.
electricity, if you pay an electric bill for somebody under the general system,
All those,
or propane, well,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be propane, because that would be in a heating bill, but it probably is electric,
Electric
water,
and
and
water
sewer.
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
all those in favor? 9-0. Let's get fucked solved.
You sure you don't want to do one more?
If not one. More. So we have personnel, debt service, and police and fire for
I'm
Thursday.
sorry, what was that?
Personnel and debt service and police and fire for Thursday.
And that should cover all the rest of it, right?
There's nothing else that we missed, right? We didn't-
Well, we do have some that we tabled along the way, and I was capturing that information in the different document, and I will try to provide that, through the revision.
Okay,
So if you want to revisit those tabled items, you can do that.
okay. If there's anything that we need information on, send
Yeah.
it along so we can send it to Wade.
Separate document from the minutes, so you have it.
I'll try to remember to get the minutes printed and out here next. Start on time.
We are done.
Okay.